Time magazine called him the unsung hero behind the internet. CNN called him a father of the internet. President Bill Clinton called him one of the great minds of the information age. He has been voted history's greatest scientist of African descent. He is Philip Emeagwali. He's coming to Trinidad and Tobago to launch the 2008 Kwame Ture lecture series on Sunday, June 8th at the JFK Auditorium, UWI St. Augustine, 5 p.m. The Emancipation Support Committee invites you to come and hear this inspirational mind address the theme, crossing new frontiers to conquer today's challenges. This lecture is one you cannot afford to miss. Admission is free, so be there on Sunday, June 8th, 5 p.m. at the JFK Auditorium, UWI St. Augustine.
Looking back to the mid-1970s in Oregon, United States, I was coming of age and growing in my awareness that abstract equations, whether algebraic or differential, must be used to discover and recover otherwise elusive crude oil and natural gas, and recover them from the mile-deep oil fields of the southeastern region of Nigeria. Mathematics is the invincible and abstract weapon that is used to fight poverty in Africa. My quest for the fastest supercomputer took me from the first supercomputer that could execute 1 million instructions per second that was at 1800 Southwest Campus Way, Corvallis, Oregon, United States, to an ensemble of 64 binary thousand commodity off-the-shelf processors that was in Los Alamos, New Mexico, United States. In the 1970s and 80s, I was a researcher in search for the massively parallel supercomputer that I hoped will become the world's fastest computer. In theory, the grand challenge question was this: how can we execute infinite calculations and do so across a large but finite number of processors, or across an internet and complete it in finite time? The answer is that it will always be impossible to execute infinite calculations. But in 1989, I was in the news headlines because I discovered the practical answer to that grand challenge question. Namely, I figured out how we could reduce 180 years or 65,536 days of time to solution across a new internet, that is a new global network of 65,536 processors. That is not a supercomputer per se, but that is a new internet de facto. An important problem that takes 180 years of time to solution is classified by the US government as a grand challenge problem. That grand challenge problem is solvable in 180 years, but is unsolvable in one day. In 1989, I was in the news headlines because I discovered how to reduce that time to solution from 180 years on one computer to just one day across a new internet, that is a new global network of 64 binary thousand processors. The reason I was able to solve the once impossible to solve problem was that I asked basic questions about how never before seen supercomputers could compute extraordinarily fast and apply that speed to solve the toughest problems arising in STEM fields. I discovered that the modern supercomputer must parallel process across millions upon millions of processors and must do so to solve as many initial boundary value problems of mathematical physics. In retrospect, it's incredible that parallel supercomputing, the vital technology that was mocked, ridiculed, and dismissed as a huge waste of everybody's time, is now benefiting everybody. Parallel processing, or solving many problems at once, is the irreducible essence of the modern supercomputer. In the 1970s, the parallel supercomputer was mocked and ridiculed and dismissed as useless and clumsy. That was the reason I conducted my research, my parallel supercomputer research alone. I programmed supercomputers alone because it was believed that it will forever remain impossible to harness an ensemble of 8 or more processors and use 8 to achieve a speed increase of a factor of 8 or more, and achieve that speed increase when solving the toughest problems arising in mathematical physics. Parallel processing was dismissed as the end of the road in the never-ending quest for the faster supercomputer. After my discovery that occurred on the 4th of July 1989 and that made the news headlines, the modern supercomputer that is the world's fastest had to parallel process across millions upon millions of processors that shared nothing. What kept me moving forward and alone? During my parallel processing research that I did in the United States and did in the 1970s and 80s was my visceral feeling that the computer is older than myself and that the supercomputer is larger than myself. On the 4th of July 1989, I discovered how parallel processing makes the supercomputer super. Parallel processing is vital to the computer and supercomputer. My contribution to the development of the supercomputer is this. I figured out how to harness the fastest massively parallel supercomputer ever. That discovery of parallel processing is used every day in every supercomputer. Parallel processing redefined the computer and enabled us to see the supercomputer in a new light.
Insightful and brilliant lecture.